We are very certain. Research from the Center for the Developing Child at Harvard University, Jack Schoenkauf's work, has really shown, without a doubt, that what happens in the various early years of life, before age 3, the growth that happens in the brain, the neuroplasticity of the brain during those early years, really sets the pace and writes a script for what's going to happen to children as they age. So knowing that and knowing the opportunities for intervention that can make a difference and have the highest return on investment if we make them when children are young, it is definitely incumbent upon all of us to identify children's delays or risk for delay at the earliest possible ages. We're very certain that stress or adverse trauma or other situations in the various early years have profound effects on children and how they respond throughout their life.
We started doing a lot of research into what the standardized screening and assessment process was for young kids in Hartford and actually in the state of Connecticut. And through that, realized that in pediatrics, a lot of that developmental surveillance and screening is happening, and it's going wonderful. They do them at their periodic checkups. But then if there is an issue, that issue is so bad that they're getting immediately bumped up or put into some tertiary level evaluation, or the issue just remains kind of underlying and it's not something bad enough to elicit any kind of intervention or supports.
In the state of Connecticut, it's about 40% of kids don't qualify for early intervention services. And the parents get the message that, oh, things are okay, or they will be okay, or they didn't qualify, there are no services for my child.
The Village's Early Childhood Learning Center is a nurturing, supportive, educational environment that supports the family unit in achieving their child's success. A lot of the kids were coming into the school and they had been expelled 3 or 4 times from preschool, which in itself is scary that you can expel a preschooler. And the expulsion rate for preschool is the highest in the state in Hartford. And so we started to look at what those expulsions were about, and many of them were around some social, emotional, or behavioral health issues. We started to look at why are these issues not being addressed earlier? Why aren't these issues being worked on at home, in school, prior to this kind of crisis point that we were getting to getting the kids in the door? Expulsion for anybody is a rejection, and a rejection at 3 is huge. The family feels it, their 3-year-old has been rejected, the 3-year-old feels it, they have been rejected. It's really setting up a lifetime of cyclical events. We came up with something called the Mid-Level Developmental Assessment.
The Village expressed a very strong interest in developing a model of so-called mid-level developmental assessment that could quickly and efficiently, in a very time-sensitive manner, assess a child and, within the course of literally just an hour or 2, determine whether that child could be moved on to the appropriate community-based program and service, or whether that child did in fact need the more intensive, the more expensive, the more time-consuming tertiary level evaluation.
It's brief, it is rooted in play and observation, and it allows for families to be seen as the primary kind of information and assessment givers, takers in this whole process.
We loved that idea. It was innovative. It really filled the gap in the system.
There's a team along usually with a case manager, goes through an assessment protocol basis, gathering information from all the different hubs I was talking about, pediatrics, school, mental health, and coming together and then coming forth with a set of recommendations to help support the child at home, at school, in pediatrics to be able to fulfill their ultimate developmental trajectory.
The findings were astounding, that really 80% of children after a mid-level assessment could be directed right to available services for them.
So our hope is that this next piloting, if you will, by the Village will set the stage for statewide dissemination of mid-level developmental assessment. We have already shared the early success of the Village in mid-level developmental assessment with our Help Me Grow affiliates in other states. And I have no doubt that if this is successful in Connecticut, and I firmly believe it will be, that other states will be replicating the work being done here by the Village. The village has been so open to understanding critical contemporary issues and then figuring out what the solutions are, including the fiscal management of those solutions, that the conversations have just been exciting, productive, and very inspiring. Secondly, the village has really embraced the notion of innovation. Mid-level developmental assessment is an innovation that, to the best of our knowledge, no one previously has performed successfully.
We need to start building that resiliency and strengthening families so that children don't get so they have mental health problems. We get them before then. And I think that the mid-level assessment gives us that window into kids' needs before their needs are really great.
Selenia came to the village actually on referral from her pediatrician because they had wanted her son to receive a psychiatric evaluation.
He was 2.5 and he was in a toddler program at a different daycare, and they started noticing that he was biting the other kids and he was hitting himself, banging his head. He would just make messes or hit other children and not care. And they tried every way of discipline to show him that he was really hurting his friends. Everything that they did in the classroom wasn't working. And then he moved on to a preschool program. They basically switched classes with him, and every day I was getting calls to come pick him up, that he was uncontrollable, that they just couldn't handle him. We couldn't get him to sit down. We couldn't get him to keep his seatbelt on. He was attacking us, like literally coming after us. He did not care. He would run into the streets and see a car and just laugh about it. Then he started to become more violent with his peers, and then he became very violent with his sibling, who was just a baby at the time. And then it became apparent that he really had some issues going on that we really needed to figure out. And we got the referral for the village, and right away they got him in. They were able to schedule his mid-level eval right away. Within like several months, we were able to start seeing like a really big difference. He's had the same therapist since he was 3, and I can call her right now and she will make sure she gets back to me within the half an hour. She would actually stay longer. She would say, well, I was supposed to leave today at 5, but if you can get here by 5:30, I can definitely see him. He enjoyed his experience here at the preschool at the village. The director of the preschool contacted me and said that he could start on the day that they were having the Halloween parade to make it less stressful for him, and he could bring his costume. And he came and he was Spider-Man. And there was 3 other Spider-Mans. And right away, they invited him in the group, and he was so excited. And within an hour, he did not want me there. He was ready to just go with his friends. And I didn't get a call that day. These teachers had other kids that were there that were like him, and that was something that was different. When we came and we did the tour, the first thing we noticed is there was 3 other kids that were just like Christian. They worked with them. Never once did I feel like I made the wrong decision putting him here. He's doing very good. He's a 2nd grader at International Magnet School. He got into a magnet school. He's been really thriving there. Now he's more independent. He's more reliable. He has more responsibilities. And overall, he's just been doing very great. He is one of the best artists at his school. He received the Best Artist Award last year for 1st grade, and that meant something really big to him. Everyone knows him for his drawings, and if he continues to do it, I will just be thrilled. He's just been a delight.